Welcome to the Intuitive Rising podcast. I'm your host, Amy Brooks. Up until about 5 years ago, I was your average mom of three. It was after the sudden loss of my father that my life changed forever and the rising within me began. Since then, I've embraced my gifts and have stepped into my role as an evidential psychic medium, past life reader, higher self mentor, holy fire Reiki practitioner, and published author. In this podcast, we will talk all things spiritual and healing through a very grounded and relatable approach. I hope you'll continue to join me each week, remembering who you always were as we rise together. Hello, risers. Welcome back to another episode of the Intuitive Rising podcast. I am your host, Amy Brooks. So excited to be here with you for our August, can you believe it? August 2023 energetic forecast. I cannot believe that we are here. I really can't. The year is flying by. Time flies when you're having fun, right? I wanted to begin this episode by giving a brief little update, okay? You guys have been listening to me all year so far, as we're now like 6 months into this podcast. Thank you for listening and for, keeping it going and keeping me going. But I've done a lot of talking over the last 6 months about an upcoming move. Moving from Ontario back to my home province of Nova Scotia, listing the house for sale, making offers on new homes, all of the things, right? You guys have been invested. Now I have announced this on my community page, I feel, at this point, but I have not announced it on my website, so I feel like it's time to talk about it. We have come to the decision to not move this summer. I know you guys are probably like, what? Because there was so much planning, we've been planning this for years, right? Like this was the year it was going to happen. I initially wanted it to happen in 2022. My husband asked me for an extra year to wrap up some things, and he just felt like 2023 was the better time to do it. And then we go through all the process of preparing, and some things began to happen in the month of May. Okay, so this is when we were like really getting serious. First thing that happened was we had to do an unexpected bathroom reno, which ended up being way more time consuming, energy consuming, financially consuming than we initially planned for. So we did that, and that took a while. Like, thank God, and knock on wood, that everything's good with that. But thank God, I mean to say, that my husband is handy like that, because he did all of the work himself. And then we had like 3 weeks where everyone was sick. We all had the stomach flu, and then we were just getting better from that. And then I don't know, I'm pretty sure we had COVID. We none of us have yet in the last 3.5 years tested positive for COVID. And this time we didn't test for positive either for COVID. This was back in the month of May, but I can tell you I was really sick. I was really sick, and I was sick for maybe 3 or 4 days, like really bad, like in bed. And then after that, it kind of lingered for a couple weeks for sure. But that happened, and so that kept pushing us back. And then, as I have shared here with you guys, my grandmother passed away. And so all of those things combined really had us, push pause. We were stepping on the brakes, so to speak, about our move. We were like, okay, let's get through the next little bit, and then we'll keep moving and we'll pick up where we left off. And then what ended up happening, and it was very strange. It was a very strange experience for me, was then I was the one. So you heard me say that last year, my husband was the one that said, can we have the extra year? And I was like, okay, based on what my intuition was telling me. This time, I am the one that goes to him and says, I feel like this year is not the right time to move. And he said, I feel that you're right. I also feel that way. Now, what is interesting about this is that neither of us wanted to stay another year. Both of us want the move. We both want the fresh start. We both want to be closer to family. We both want that. So this decision did not come from my wants or my needs. This decision came in neutral. And you know how I tell you that your intuition, your higher self, is going to come in with a bit of neutrality. Your intuition is not always just going to tell you what you want to hear. It's what you need to hear and what you know is right. And sometimes those things align, and what you know is right and what you need to hear aligns with what you want. But sometimes it doesn't. And in this case, it didn't. But I also have this really strange sense of calm and peace that this was the right decision. Okay? So I am like really, really talking the talk and walking the walk. Spirit reminds me. I am showing up for you guys, authentic and transparent, and showing you how to make intuitively led decisions, right? You listen and you take pause and you align with the decision. And if you no longer align with the decision, you will know. And you know, I feel like this is just one more beautiful kind of level of awareness for me and experience that I'm living, that opens me up to more. And that really goes beautifully in with some of the messages that are going to come in for the month of August 2023. I also have to speak briefly on the tremendous amount of relief that has come through since we made this decision. And I was just reflecting on it the other day. I'm like, why am I like so much more in the moment and being present and feeling more capacity for joy and more capacity for patience? And why am I just overall feeling more happy? Because I've noticed that about myself for the last couple weeks. So it's been about 5 weeks since we've made this decision. And I have noticed that I am more joyful, more connected to myself. Like I said, feeling more peaceful, feeling just this state of gratitude. And it dawned on me the other day that that is the gift of listening to your intuition and in the relief of making a decision. You know, like I know that I've talked about that on a podcast here before. It's just like, just make the decision, right? Like maybe there's no right and wrong. Maybe it could go great either way. But by simply stepping in and making a decision, you are freeing yourself from energetic limbo. Like you have now stepped in to that new energy. And with that comes relief and release. And so that's where I've been feeling tremendous sense of peace and calm and gratitude and more ability to stay in the moment, which has really been a gift for me and my family. And so that's just a reminder to all of us to just make a decision. Sometimes just making the decision is like all that we need, and trusting and flowing. And, you know, that really reminds me of something that I posted today, the day of recording. I'm going to open up my Instagram so that I can read the post to you. The day of this recording, I posted onto my social media this. Not having the answers does not equate to not being prepared or not being ready. Preparedness and readiness comes as you go. As you're doing it, you earn that by trusting and leaning in. And then in the content, the body of that post, I wrote, it's been our collective experience in recent human history, in brackets, thousands of years, that we yearn for a sense of 100% certainty before we make a move and decision. We have come to expect that. It is our signpost for, okay, now I'm ready. But what if that feeling of certainty was really just us leaning into trusting our inner compass and the universe then responding to that trust? What if it never was about anything external to you? The external just began to line up after you decided based on that false sense of security. Food for thought. And so yes, that's food for thought for us for sure. Just making the decision then gives us that feeling of, okay, I made the right decision. And then the external, the environment, begins to reflect that back, so that then we begin to feel as if our environment is reinforcing or validating our decision, but not stalling or refusing to make a decision because the environment has not already brought in the validation. The validation comes from making the decision. So I wanted to share that with you before we get started. And now we shall get started. What to expect in the month of August. So as you guys know, Tarot, Oracle, and Soul's lesson comes in. Also, I wanted to do this live. So I have pulled the cards and written down some, notes about each, but I have not channeled intuitively what our totem animal will be. I have not channeled intuitively what the number will be or what the element will be. So I am going to make a note to remember to do so. And that's how I'll end today, is with the totem animal. And we'll see what wants to come through live in the moment about that, and the number and the element. Okay. So, our messages, our guidance, what to expect. Well, we start with tarot every month, and this month 2 cards came out of the deck. They both popped out together, so I took it as a sign that we will be feeling both, and both are very, very different energies. So we got a mixed bag coming for us in the month of August, but they both really align, and I can see how they connect. The first one that comes forward for us is the 3 of Swords. So we got Swords energy. Again, we had Swords energy come in for July. Swords, a lot about mindset, right? Our thoughts, how we're thinking about things. And this one, you kind of look at it and you're like, oh, that doesn't look too happy. This card is really about opportunities to heal. Okay, so some keynotes I wrote down. Opportunities to heal, some shadows potentially coming to light, loss, but loss comes through connected to like being uncertain of things, or what we thought we knew, or what we thought would happen versus what is, or what is happening, or what is, maybe our belief system, or maybe our ideas about something are changing. This, really goes in, aligns very well with what I just talked about, that middle ground place where you're like in limbo and you're like, oh my goodness, like what I thought I wanted and what is best for me is different. So there's this kind of feeling of change when it comes to what we think versus what is, the reality of what is versus what we expect or what we think. So I want to advise you and encourage you to be as open as humanly possible in the month of August, to not be married to things, meaning like, okay, well, we're planning this then, or, I'm planning to do this then, or this is going to happen then, because I feel like it's not to say everything's going to be shaken up and those things aren't going to happen. It's to say there is potential for movement and change as we go. It's always for our highest and best good. But I just feel like the more married you are to a particular plan or something happening or working out in a certain way, the more difficult it would be if change comes in and something changes around it or something different happens. So you are being guided to be as open as humanly possible. This is very purposeful energy in the sense that it's bringing new levels of awareness in. Okay, so we're just kind of being asked to allow, surrender. Okay, this is what I planned to happen. This is how I plan to feel. This is what I think's going to happen. But, I'm not going to be devastated if something changes. And we have the ability to set ourselves up mentally for that, right? Open to the possibility of changes. So it just feels overall like we've got some opportunities to heal, maybe some shadows coming up, some things around our sense of control or what we think we have control over. We really realize we do not. The things that feel certain, maybe we're realizing, oh, they're not certain. They're a little bit more uncertain. And anytime we kind of go through that awareness, that new level, we reach that new level of awareness, we often feel the, the shifting of that. And sometimes that can come forward grieving something, feeling disappointed about something. And that's okay, that's human, and we should allow ourselves to feel that way, but also having that glimmer of hope that this is taking us in the right place, towards the right direction. Sometimes we don't always know what's best for us, is what Spirit is saying in this moment, in right now. Sometimes we can't imagine where it's going to end up, or what we think is the best thing that could possibly happen is not the best thing that could possibly happen. It could be even better than that, right? So we're being asked to really lean in and allow, and trust. And then we also have the Ace of Wands coming in, which is very different energy. Right? Ace of Wands is all about taking action. This is about new ideas, new beginnings, right? But I feel as if they do connect, because the new beginnings may be coming in and we might have a hard time releasing what was, right? We might not be ready to let go of what was for this new energy and this new beginning. But it's coming anyways, right? So I said in with the new and out with the old is kind of what comes forward. It feels like there's a lot of change in the air for the month of August. Seeds of potential come in. So this is a great manifesting time. If we can really anchor in and utilize this energy and the feelings that come from it and just allow ourselves to feel them, then we make way. Is what I'm seeing. We're clearing the space for this new energy to come in. So it's like okay to be disappointed. It's okay to grieve something or someone or something. And we can feel that, but don't marry ourselves to it. Don't attach yourself so deeply that you're not able to see the other side of it comes in. Creativity might be higher, for some of us moving forward. This could be, kind of a mixed bag where we're going back and forth feeling both of it. For some of us, I feel like that might be the case. For some of us, I feel like the beginning of the month kind of really leans into the Three of Swords energy, and then the latter part of the month is more about the new beginnings and the Ace of Wands energy. The Ace of Wands also brings in a feeling of like being able to see the big picture or the interconnectivity of all things. So I feel like that's the gift of this, the gift of potentially feeling the loss or the uncertainty or the disappointment and the grief around things, and the confusion maybe around things, and then allowing ourselves to, be in the muck of it and feel it, but stay hopeful. And then the gift of that is, oh, I can see how this is all connected, or I can see how this has taken me to a place that wasn't expected, but actually is better for me. So we are being guided to stay open to those things. And I feel as if we will be seeing the interconnectivity of all things. I also hear very, very clearly, you are ready. You are ready. So for some of us, there may be, new opportunities coming in, brand new ideas that we might not feel capable of, or maybe we don't feel worthy of, or we're like, whoa, this is like a little bit, I'm dreaming really big here, and I don't want to be disappointed by my own expectations of this, right? But you are being encouraged to stay open to it, and that you are, in fact, ready. So I am very excited for us with that. Please stay open to all new possibilities. I keep seeing like a big shovel, and it's like clearing out old, right? And it's like I'm seeing sand, very packed sand, like wet sand, and somebody shoveling like a tunnel underneath the sand to come to like a new exit, right? Like, so it just feels like there's emphasis on like what lies beneath, and that we can't see everything that's going on right now, but we will in time. We will. So trust and allow for the month of August. The Oracle card message for us in the month of August comes by way of the Enchanted Map Oracle. My tarot, as always, comes by way of the Light Seers Tarot. That's my go-to tarot deck. My Oracle cards, I do switch up from month to month and time to time based on what I feel connected to. But this card comes from the Enchanted Map Oracle. And we've got this beauty, this beautiful elephant here. And the card is called Listening. Listening. So what is this saying for us? I wrote down, an open heart will hear the message. This comes from the guidebook. Some things, keynotes that I wrote down about this. There's a time to speak and a time to listen. I'm seeing how this is connected, like it's kind of like there's a time to feel and allow, and there's a time to do and take action, right? So there's a time to speak and a time to listen. Now is the time for listening. Now is the time for listening is what I hear. And receiving and taking in and transmuting. Now is the time to listen and receive and allow. And this allows us to transmute. And this allows us to take us to new places that our own brains, our own logic would not have imagined for us. There's so much new that wants to come in this moment. Oh my goodness. I got big old goosebumps as I am channeling this message in the moment. Okay. Looking beyond this, I love this, looking beyond the surface of what's not being said as well, right? So it's interesting because a minute ago with the like underneath the ground, right? The tunnel underneath the sand. You can't see what's going on under there, but you still, you come out in a different place, but in a better place. This is about listening to yourself and listening to your environment and listening to the people and the things and the places and, the experiences that show up in your environment, and really being in an observer mode. What is happening here, and just taking it in and receiving it without interjecting, without placing your own stuff in it. And if you can, I know this is difficult, but if you can, try to go through your month just observing. Pretend you're watching your life, your day unfold like you would watch somebody, on TV, on a reality TV show. So you're just the observer. You're just watching what's happening. You're watching, and you also have the gift as that observer, of that viewer, of seeing what's going on behind the scenes that person in that moment does not have access to. So you are being asked to step out and observe things and listen, because this will allow you to pick up on the subtleties, on the things that you would miss if you did not take a moment to observe. Body language comes up, so I feel like I feel like what I'm hearing is like, pay attention to people's body language. Pay attention to your own body language. How are you sitting when you're around somebody? Are you receiving some sort of information? Is your neck always like this? It's interesting because my neck is bugging me today, and I never realized that I sit a certain way or I hold my head a certain way until recently with the optometrist, because she was fitting me with new lenses, and I was holding my head like this, and she's like, you can hold your head back like that naturally, and if you do that during the eye exam, the results are going to be different, right? Your glasses are going to be different than if you're looking straight on at something. But I didn't realize I'm always like this. But just pay attention to your body. How does your body feel, and what are you doing? Are you clenching your neck, like, are you clenching your hands? Are you grinding your teeth? What's your body language saying, and what is other people's body language saying? Be that observer in the month of August. This allows you a greater understanding of your circumstances. So it feels like a gift if you allow that in this month. Lastly, we've got the Soul's Journey lesson. Now, I feel like this has come in for another month of ours. I don't remember if it was last month or not, but I know it's come up in these energetic forecasts. We've got the Trust card. I just got goosebumps. My arm hair standing up. So again, we're being asked to trust. This is the lesson from our soul this month in August 2023. Trust. I accept that my inner voice will always guide me correctly. So there's ample opportunities around us in listening to your inner voice. Remember to observe and listen this month. Don't interject so much. Just allow. Especially in the first part of the month where we're going through this. I mean, emotions might be high. if you're listening rather than watching, I when I said this, I was holding up the Three of Swords card. If you're going through this like change, transformation, crossroads kind of energy where something that you thought was certain maybe is no longer certain, or something you planned on is no longer happening, or the way you felt is no longer how you feel, really allow yourself to feel that when that's happening. Because I keep seeing like an image of somebody kind of like scrubbing away or sweeping away debris, right? So it's like all of this shit in your life, so to speak, that is like just not aligning, all the mindsets, all the stuff, all the people, all the opportunities that are just like holding you back and are not in your best good, even if you are attached to them. If you allow yourself to feel how you feel as your circumstances change in some way, your mindset or your heart changes in some way, it's like picture your guides and your higher self sweeping away all the riffraff, right? All the stuff and the debris that is keeping you stuck. And it's painful as it happens, but the relief will be immense. Okay, so that's your guidance from the cards for the month of August. Now, in the moment, I'm going to take a moment and see what totem animal wants to come forward for us, and what number and what element. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. So I have, okay. I feel like I have two. Maybe this is a month where there's like just a vast majority of experience, right? We had the two tarot cards. We've got the the totem animals, okay? One comes through very clearly as a parrot. And the other one comes through very clearly as a beaver. Which are very, very different animals and different energy. Okay, so rather than like Google and look up like what these things mean, I'm going to tap in intuitively and see like what that totem animal, what each one really comes forward to tell us, or what they're helping us with. Okay, so first I'm going to ask to tap into the parrot that I see. Oh, speak clearly. Watch your tongue. Be mindful of what you say and why. Are you just repeating back what you think you should say, or what you think somebody else would want to hear? Be mindful of your words. Be mindful of what you say and how you say them. The parrot is showing me kind of like really flying around very rapidly and fast, and its wings fluttering quite a bit, and it's talking about wasting, or it's talking about being, when you're in this kind of energy of not being aligned with self, not observing self, just really trying to force, that you're expending a ton of energy that you don't need to, or that you don't necessarily have. So what I'm hearing is, if like you continue to kind of be all over the place and say things that aren't aligned for you, or speak when you don't feel like speaking, or you don't take a moment to think about what you're saying or how you're saying it or when you're saying it, that you might kind of be putting yourself in a situation where you are not being heard, right? Like it's falling on deaf ears is what I hear, or that you are expending a whole lot of precious energy that you don't need to. So that's what comes through with the parrot. Like, be mindful of what you're saying and how you're saying it and who you're saying it to. And are you wasting your time, right? Like, are you trying to convince yourself or convince somebody else of something that you don't need to? Love that. Now I'm going to tap into this beaver energy and see what wants to come through. Oh my goodness. Big old goosebumps as I tap into this energy. Okay, I love this because the beaver is bringing through a feeling of, so their energy is much more relaxed, right? They're just kind of like floating on by, just allowing life to happen, and they know and trust that they are an important and vital piece of the larger picture, but they're not in a rush. So this is more of this observer, right? And so I just keep hearing we're doing a lot of things behind the scenes, right? You might not always see a beaver, right? But the beaver's like going here, there, and everywhere and under the water. I love this image of the under the water because it really ties into that feeling of like things happening underneath, or when I was seeing the tunnels being, dug underneath the sand, and connections and things happening underneath the surface that you might not be totally aware of, right? That the spirit world, that the universe is responding to our intentions and our thoughts and our feelings, and they're kind of, working behind the scenes for us. So I just hear like lean in, allow, co-create, let go of the forcing, and know that there's some things happening underneath, behind the scenes, that you are not aware of. Now, I don't know this for sure, but I feel like a beaver dam, you can see some of it from the surface of the water, but there's a whole lot happening underneath the water. And I feel like that comes in as a reminder for us. There's things happening that we aren't privy to yet, right? So just allow, allow, allow. Now, thank you, Mr. Parrot and Beaver. And now we're going to tap into a number for August. That number is 7. Okay, 7. So let me see what intuitively wants to come in about 7. I'm not going to look up numerology or anything like that. Maybe I will later. But right now I'm just going to see what wants to come in. So 7 does come in with a lot of energy around expression, and changes. They're bringing in the energy of actually the Chariot card in tarot, which I don't, let me just see. I wonder if 7 is connected to the Chariot. I am going to look in the guidebook for this because I feel like they're telling me to read about the Chariot card. So I will do that. I will listen to it. Let's see. Look at this. Number 7. The 7 tarot card is the Chariot. You can't make this stuff up, I swear to you. I didn't know that. I'm looking way back here in 1920. I'm where's the Chariot? Okay. What does the Chariot mean, and how does this connect to the number 7? Victory, determination, harnessing and uniting opposing energies, leading to success, inspired action. Okay. The Chariot reminds you that while you are on the way to your goal, you need to make decisions about your best path forward. If you feel pulled into... You can't make it up, I swear. If you feel pulled in 2 different directions, know that you will be able to coax both of these energies towards the same target. Charging ahead without paying attention to your path can sometimes be harmful for those in your way, so take care not to trample on others. Choose the things you really want. Focus your energy. If you aren't sure what your direction is, then it's time to make some plans, align goals, and dream. Okay, so the 7 and the Chariot brings through that feeling. It's interesting too, that it said, be careful as you're charging ahead and you've made that decision that you don't trample on another, because I feel like that connects to being mindful about your words and what you're saying, including to yourself. So it's not just about, harming another based on saying something without care or, being not tactful in some way. It can be also self-directed, in you holding yourself back. So be mindful about what you're thinking about, how you're thinking about yourself, and also how your energy is expended when it comes to self-expression, or what you're saying or what you're thinking about yourself. And, are you in defensive mode? Are you spending a lot of time trying to convince yourself or someone else of your own worth, right? Like, where are you wasting your energy that way? Okay, so 7, that's really interesting. Because 7 comes through, like when I connect to that intuitively, it comes through powerfully, but also with like a peacemaker or a balanced kind of energy as well. So it doesn't feel like someone that charges ahead and bullies, right? It feels like someone that it really leans in and aligns with themselves and moves forward in a way that's balanced, right? And peaceful. And I think this is the beauty of these two opposing energies. When we talked about that card, talked about balancing or bringing forward opposing energies. There you go, right there. Now, element, I feel more fire. While I connect to this, I know that August is some of it is Leo, in the astrological sign of Leo, which is fire, and some is in Virgo, which is earth. Okay, but for me, I'm feeling mainly fire energy. The element of fire wants to come in. The element of fire is really about, it really blends beautifully with that chariot message of forging ahead, of taking action, of believing in self. All of that fiery energy. You can bring the element of fire into your life, into your routine or practice, lighting a candle and setting that intention as you do, having a campfire, maybe writing down some things that you want to release and putting it into the fire. But it does feel like you are really lining up and aligning with that fire energy. So allow that, use it, borrow from it to help support you in this month and help you as you're navigating, this 3 of Swords and this Ace of Wands energy. Love this month. Love this episode. I hope you enjoy it too. I hope it gives you some clarity and some guidance as you move through your month. And I will see you soon. Thanks for joining me. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Intuitive Rising podcast. If you would like to continue the chats and join a group of like-minded souls on their own spiritual journey, please request to join the Intuitive Rising community over on Facebook. All are welcome. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider giving it a 5-star rating. If you'd like to connect with me directly, please visit my website at theintuitiverising.com.